everyone. Last talk of the day. We feeling good? Feeling energized? Awesome. I want to talk to you today about how your AI needs an assistant, and I will tell you what I mean by that. But first, I'll introduce myself. Maybe. Hi, I'm Josh. I'm a full-time independent open source developer and maintainer. I work on projects that if you write JavaScript or TypeScript, I hope you're using. Specifically, the first two on this list. Who here uses TypeScript? Awesome. I don't work on TypeScript, but who here lints their TypeScript code? Yes. Thank you. I also work as of recently on ESLint itself, so if you're not on TypeScript, that's okay. You can lint with my stuff too, or rather stuff that I occasionally send code to. Also, I recently started helping with Mocha. Who here learned to unit test on Mocha like I did? Cool. I also wrote the Learning TypeScript book for O'Reilly. Thanks. Wow. Great. I love this. This is going great. It was not great for me after that photo, but now I'm back in action. Like many of you, I was introduced to AI through the memes, through the internet hullabaloo. I knew what was happening. I'd had friends who were excited about ML back in the day, big data, and then machine learning. So I started getting into it very surface. So I'm going to show you a self-portrait, and I'm quoting the prompt here. A very extremely muscular and attractive man grinning with a dirty blonde curly hair, riding the lead flamingo in a stampede of bright pink flamingos behind him. That's my introduction to AI. I love this photo so much. This is AI. Like AI, it's amazing that it can generate that on demand. See also this photo, courtesy of Stacy Davis. I don't know where Stacy is sitting. This photo is a real photo, actually, but this image is not generated. This is the generated image from the prompt, make me an image of a cherry tree fruit branch, and so on and so forth, with Rainier text in curved font. AI is great. So I figured, okay, this stuff is pretty cool. It has high potential, but it has some kinks to work out, which is always the case when you have new technology. The internet was seen as a joke by many when it was first introduced. But then I'm an open source maintainer. I work on GitHub a lot. I started getting issues like this, where people would tell us, hey, we went through ChatGPT or Copilot, and your stuff doesn't work. What do I do? And to be clear, they weren't reading the docs. We explain ourselves in our docs. I know not everyone does or does well. So a lot of users have started reading AI responses instead of first-party tailored documentation. Now, that offends me deeply and personally because it causes me a lot of work. But I want to be clear, I'm not bashing AI. I'm not saying you shouldn't use AI to learn about tools or to write code. It would be really fun to bash it, but that would be dishonest because it's a great tool. There's a lot of potential. So I'm going to show you a bunch of reasons why you should or shouldn't use AI and things that can help you use it effectively. And I want to be clear, all the prompt responses in this presentation are real. None were manipulated. I did not do that trick where you're like, okay, answer the following question in this ridiculous way. Then you ask the question and you take a screenshot and you make fun of the tool. I'm not doing that. At the very end, I summarize some responses for brevity, but that's it. Okay. Are we ready to see some stuff? Yes. Okay. AI. Show of hands, who here's heard of this already? What is the Gartner hype cycle? Give me 30 words overview. Few hands. Awesome. This is a really big thing in tech. The Gartner hype cycle is the concept that illustrates a journey of some technology from when it's introduced. We get the peak of inflated expectations, when it's all new and exciting. We get the trough of disillusionment, when it's less exciting, less new, and people have discovered the warts. And then once we know the good and the bad, we get the plateau of productivity. A great example of the plateau right now would be the cloud. We've figured that out somewhat. A great example of the trough, a very deep trough, would be crypto. Not all technology reaches the plateau. And this, honestly, I think this is a really cool concept. If there's like one thing to take away from the talk, it might be this, because it shows up everywhere. For example, in the TypeScript ecosystem, every developer who learns TypeScript goes through the TypeScript type cycle, where you learn all the wacky, cool features of TypeScript. Oh my God, it's a Turing-complete system. I can implement bit arithmetic, binary arithmetic, video games, Doom in the type system. Then you start writing that code, and all your teammates and you in the future come in, and you have no idea what any of that does. And it's a nightmare, and everyone hates TypeScript and you. But then eventually, you get to the plateau of productivity again. You learn when to use TypeScript's features and when not to use them. Buy my book. AI, oh, and I forgot to mention, I have slides online. I posted in the Discord, on Twitter, and other social media, on my website. You can see the actual prompts I use. Where is AI in the Gartner hype cycle? Which of those three? The one I asked told me AI's plateau of productivity, widespread adoption and practical application, cross-industries, automation, analytics, and personalized experiences. Let's test that. Let's test that. AI, write a TypeScript function to take an array and return the largest element divisible by all previous elements. Who here thinks it's going to get it right, based on how this talk has been phrasing itself? This code, and honestly, as much as I'm going to poop on this soon, it's really cool that it can generate something that actually looks reasonable. This code is wrong. It looks great. It's blatantly wrong. For example, it misses the first element somehow. I don't know why. It only checks one. I said all previous elements. This should be like a double loop or something, not sure. And the actual output is 9. This function returns 1. The comment says 7. I don't know where we went wrong, but ew. Now, again, I want to emphasize AI is fantastic. It is globally aware autocomplete. We've seen in the last 2 talks especially all these different awesome ways of hooking it up to like a database or a language model. It's autocomplete. It takes this abstract concept of data and thinks on what you might want from it and gives that back. It doesn't understand the data, which means it's not a feature. It's not AI. I hate that we call it AI. That's like years down the road. It's just a tool that has good ways to use it and bad. It's not really AI. It really grinds my gears, the marketing. So I want to talk about 5 ways that I think can really help us use AI. 5 really quick, actionable things, ranging from the quickest ways to ups level to the more complex ones that not everyone might find useful immediately. Are we ready for those 5 ways to... Okay, cool. It's the end of the day, I know. I just wanted the more SpongeBob because they talked earlier about that Burger King commercial. Documentation. Every project should have documentation in a perfect world. Not every project does. Not every piece of docs is good. But whenever possible, please, for the love of God, if it is feasible, if they exist, please read the docs before asking the AI. If you're pressed for time, you just need it to work quickly, I understand, that's an exception. But if you're using a tool, understand the tool if at all possible, because then I don't have to deal with GitHub issues from people who didn't take the time to learn the tool and are now struggling and pained because they don't know things. I feel bad. So let me just give you a quick example of actually the types of issues we deal with. Who here knows what typed linting or type checked, type aware linting is? A few, cool. If you were to ask a common AI what that is or how to set it up, it would give you this, which again has some issues. ESLint switched its config format. I'm told that rollout is going well. It adds in some parser options which are unnecessary, and this actually doesn't enable typed linting. Fun fact. And I'm putting this in here because I really also want to shout out typed linting. It's super powerful. If you instead do this, you get the new nice fancy ESLint format. You get these type-aware rules from the recommended type-checked preset, which has a lot of really good lint rules. And it actually enables parseroptions.project, which is the right current way to enable typed linting. Awesome. So I really want to emphasize, and I'll move on from this point in 10 seconds. AI is regurgitation. It's very visceral. It's existing info. It's not new info. Okay. So this is actually the flowchart that I personally use. If I haven't read the docs, then I will try reading them. Try does not imply success. It just means I'll try. If the docs explain the tool well, great. If not, then I'll ask the AI. And honestly, I personally add in, when I have time and energy, which who does these days, if the issue does not yet exist, asking for better docs in the failure case, then I will file it. What a good idea. Open source, yes. Cool. So please, last thing, as a maintainer, I'm begging you, read the docs. Okay. Static analysis, this typed linting stuff. Who here knows or has used the term static analysis before? Cool, awesome. That number of hands goes up every year, which I think is a really positive indicator of how awesome you all are and how the industry's going. There are 3 common forms of static analysis that web developers tend to use. The fastest is formatters, prettier. Then there are linters like ESLint and type checkers, i.e. TypeScript. These are awesome things, and each of these are very helpful. I'm not going to go into formatters so much because from what I can tell, AI generates finely formatted code. That's okay. But linters and type checkers are really nice. And I'm going to give you some examples now with this slightly more complex prompt of the stuff that can be caught and improved using linting. TypeScript function takes an object, array of keys on the object, logs each value. Well, first of all, a linter would tell you, Tejas, that you don't want to use any. You want to use a more specific type, because any kind of defeats the purpose of TypeScript, and if you use the wrong key later on, you might have a hard time. But more actionably, this actually was in the slides before Tejas. Fun fact, there's an actual bug in here, object.hasOwnProperty, because JavaScript objects, they have methods that come by default, but also what happens if you pass in an object with a hasOwnProperty? By coincidence, this code would crash. So linting would help you know, okay, give me the thing, but also don't violate the specific lint rule. So then we get this new version. I don't know why it switched from an interface to a type. That's like a whole debate in the TypeScript community. Again, with the any, though, I don't know. Should use unknown, fun fact. But actually, I asked for keys on the object. I specifically wanted this to be type safe, so I can't pass in keys that don't exist. So now Josh, just happen to know off the top of my head from years of pain that it's called a generic TypeScript function. So I'm going to ask for that. And then I get this lovely thing. Cool, so this actually introduces some TypeScript syntax, and it has t extends object, k extends key of t, which is the right way to do the thing I'm asking for. But the linter would say, hang on, it gave me this, and it never used it. Again, this is an actual response I got back, so I'm going to get rid of that. Cool. And then actually we got an interesting thing. This bug I never remember exists, and I always get confused by it. Did you know that there's a symbol feature? Who here uses JavaScript symbols ever? 5 library authors and an educator. No one uses this feature except for the very specific niche cases where it's awesome. This is another bug in the code if you need to support such a thing. Symbols are like this unique, specific symbol, not a string, and they can't be implicitly or automatically converted into strings. So then we would go with what TypeScript says and convert it to a string. And then the linter, thank you, TypeScript ESLint, for typed linting to know what type object of key is. This error message isn't bad, and I challenge each and every one of you to file an issue on us, please suggesting a better one. It's not a great error message, but the idea is if you pass in an object, what you get back is the dreaded object. Okay, so linting is pretty great. You might, I don't know, like just log directly instead of string stuff. So I highly encourage you, whether or not you're using AI, this is a great little run-through of some of the horrendously intricate bugs that ESLint and TypeScript can catch for you. But they're so useful in what I personally consider in what some call low or no trust code that was given to you by some tool you don't trust. So the more stuff, the more static analysis you can run in it, the better. Static refers to not moving. It doesn't run your code. Linting, type checking, none of it knows what the code will be like at runtime, it just guesses. Which is different from dynamic analysis. Who here tests their code? Yes. Cheer if you enthusiastically test your code. Woo. Oh, thanks, great. AI. This is a common prompt. Honestly, unit tests are one of the best use cases for AI code gen. They do a good job, these tools. Right? Test for that TypeScript function from before. I omitted the body of the latter 2 tests because it's very similar to before. This is pretty good. I honestly don't have any bugs to point out in this. I like this code. It's not bad, but life could be better. If you instead ask the ChatGPT or Cody or whatever for the test titles, it will know to give you a much more comprehensive list of tests. And then once you have that list, then you can get full-on test bodies, which is, I think, just like a cute little hack, like an intricate little way to game the system. So not too many conclusions from there. Give your AI prompts as much context as possible. It knows, oh, they want comprehensive tests, not just like a few random tests. And shout out to two tools in particular that I think do this really well, among others, SourceGraph Cody, and has anyone here heard of LangChain from a couple? Great tools. Okay. Now we're going to get into more combining-y stuff. Dynamic static analysis. We've got this awesome set of tooling that you can run on code without running it, so it actually goes quickly. Let's do it dynamically. Let's do it on demand. And I took this from another project's README or docs, a chat prompt. Give me 3 suggestions for specific places in Seattle. Give me an array of objects with these 2 strings. Venue, venue, venue. This is great, this works. And actually, I would highly recommend all 3 of those places. Pike Place, Starbucks Reserve Roastery, any of them, and the Seattle Art Museum. For each of them, go as early as they're open, and it's fantastic. But then what if you want to know what they are? So we add a kind property that's, in TypeScript we call this a union of string literals. And then you also want to add in if they're vegan friendly. And now we start getting to pain. Oh no, pain. It's the end of the day, we're so close. Who did I offend? What? It's biotageous? I don't know, yeah. Someone help me. This is not planned. I don't know what to do here. Carter, hey! Do I plug it out and plug it back in? Oh, hey! Carter, everyone! Thank you very much. Okay, I love that individual, love Carter. I want to add a thanks to Carter in my slides. So on the count of 3, I'm going to say we should all say thanks, Carter. And then if we all do that, I think I'll have his face on my last slide, okay? 1, 2, 3. Thanks, Carter. Amazing. Okay. Pain. So there are 2 things that I find painful about this. First of all, Pike Place Market actually is vegan friendly. The fish is not particularly vegan, but there's like fruit and pasta and stuff all around it. Trust Seattle to make a vegan-friendly fish market. But more importantly, this is a pain in the tush to write all this stuff out. To, in plain text in, say, English, tell the AI the shape of your data. If only we had a tool for describing our types. Wouldn't it be nice, instead of having to laboriously go through that, if we just had, like, TypeScript types? We could feed the AI and then make sure it comes back in that shape. What an idea. So, like, for example, if we were to get the corrected shape here, wouldn't it be nice if it just enforced for us? Like, if it ran type checking, and then if the data was wrong, if the AI had a little hiccup, as it goes, then it would give us, like, a type error, or maybe it would correct it for us. Just to be clear, the name is wrong. That would be awesome. If we could have this flow where once we get an initial response back, we type check it and then feed any type errors back to the AI automatically, iteratively, until we exit with a happy case. Good thing the TypeScript team made that. This is legitimately real, and actually I stole that Seattle example from their docs. This is a project from the TypeScript team, or from people on it, called Type Chat, that does what I just said. If you get back a response from a prompt within their tooling, and that response doesn't match the TypeScript types you specified, it will correct. And it'll use, I forget the exact prompt style, it uses roughly translated to, hey, you got it wrong, please fix. And then it'll give you back the correct types. So you can have type-safe data coming back from your AIs. I think that's pretty freaking cool. So highly recommend, whether you're in a nice structured ecosystem like LangChain, or if you're using raw APIs like I was for this stuff, something like TypeChat. Because you cannot trust the AI data. Even the new stuff, it's still once in a while going to mess up. Okay. So I think this is my last bit here. Dynamic analysis. I want to combine everything we used earlier, except the docs. That was just me complaining, for a more comprehensive version of that. Because now that we've seen this a bit, I think we can conclude that there are 2 strength areas. AIs are good at ideation. They take a bunch of existing stuff and can cobble it together in a good-looking way, which I call ideation. I don't know how accurate that is. Existing dev tools are good at verification. They look at something that exists, and they can tell you unit test failure, lint pass, type error. And if you use them together, I think you can get a product that's really, really powerful. So just to be clear, what is your mission? AI. Well, I'm going to use AI for a rough implementation. I'm going to use it for the tests, because again, it's great at that. And whenever I get an error from the right side of the slides, I'll use AI to fix for it. And on the right side, we see dynamic analysis, unit tests, and static with type checking and linting. Okay. So I actually wrote this out using Gemini. Who here actively uses Google Gemini, the AI product? A few hands. Now, I got to admit, there are two reasons why I use this one. One is that it's free, and OpenAI would have cost money, so that was pragmatic of me. The other is that it actually consistently gave worse code than OpenAI and other easy-to-use ones, which was really useful for my presentation. And I feel bad saying that, but I don't think anyone here works on it, so it's okay. Sorry. But anyway, this is what TypeChat did. It was one cycle from one style of tooling. So I'm just going to augment that. I'm going to get the initial implementation using a few queries, and then I'm going to keep running them through type checking, testing, linting to see how does that go. So I'm going to visualize this with a quicker function to write. So I'm going to ask AI, what's the name of the function that returns the largest number in an array? It'll give me back this. AI, given the following prompt, use the function title, and then it gives me back this initial implementation, which is actually pretty fine. Then I'm going to say, okay, give me the title of the test that I should write. I'm asking for the title, note, again, because I want it then to be very comprehensive. Then I will, for each of those titles, ask, and then it gives me the implementation of those tests. Then I run those tests, I get a failure, I realize, okay, the AI said null on one side and undefined on the other, so I ask the AI to improve the code based on that test failure. What a fun thing. And honestly, the AI is fantastic at correcting its mistakes. I was honestly really impressed. Very, very pleased with it. Then you run type checking, and then you get the error that there's an implicit any, Tejas. So then you ask the AI to fix that because, well, we can't have type errors in our code. And then once everything passes, let's just say there are no lint errors, then you end up with an actual working code. Whew. What an amazing world we live in. I could leak code with this. Good stuff. So, I have two predictions coming out of this. One, as we continue to use CodeGen more and more and more in this maniacal pursuit of AGI, I think we're going to start using it more and more in conjunction with other tools, which is what happens every time a technology is introduced. Part of the plateau of productivity is partnerships, is finding out how it works well, the intersectionality of it, with other tools like static and dynamic analysis. I also think, as was alluded a couple of talks ago, that having one giant general model is not an efficient way of doing things. We saw here that I was using one model for a myriad of tasks, but what I could have done is used a specialized model for the function name, which honestly, that thing can almost certainly run on a mobile device once we get it trimmed down, then one for test titles, then implementations, then and so on and so forth. So I'm not an AI person again. I work in open source on TypeScript, static analysis, and old testing. I don't do this stuff day to day. So I'm personally just excited to see how it comes to benefit me. So let's recap the rest of the stuff we've talked about, because I'm running out of time and I think we all want to go to dinner. And this I'm just going to blaze through in case you want to take photos. First of all, what a handsome gentleman. Second of all, the Gartner hype cycle. Remember, both the peak of inflated expectations and the trough of disillusionment are incomplete parts of the photo, of the picture. Both of them are wrong. Being overly hyped or overly pessimistic about a technology is, well, those are both just stepping stones on the plateau of productivity on the way to. I'm begging you, please, for the love of open source, read the docs. Anyway, use linting, testing, type checking. These are standard tools that have been iterated on for years, decades even, to help you improve the quality of your code. I write crap code constantly because I know that these things will catch my mistakes. And the way I think of AIs is that they are the smartest stupid we've ever created. They're an incredibly impressive feat, truly a leap forward in the human race, technologically speaking, but they're really early stage, and you have to use them right. So finally, I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank... He came up! Oh my God, Carter's face! Wow! What a callback. And also Kelly Rockwell for giving me really good feedback on early versions of the tech. Thanks, everyone. This has been fun.